After getting snatched up by the Yamu sector, Lu Sheng officially stepped into the universe chapter of his journey. During the night, he wandered into a place called the Crossing Dark Spaceship Store. Inside, shelves were stacked with sleek spaceship models, each flashing specs and, of course, jaw-dropping price tags. The smallest Level 10 ship alone cost a mind-blowing 80 million black crystal coins, and Lu Sheng couldn't help but marvel at the absurd price. He admitted that the ships would be pricey, but he hadn't expected not to even have enough for a down payment. The thought of having to deal with space mortgages made him quietly groan. Honestly, those star pirate ships he snagged were the most valuable haul, and if Far didn't secure him a reward to match, then he was ready to throw hands. Suddenly a voice called out to him. Turning, he spotted Vera grinning widely at him. Instinctively, our boy wondered why she was here, and more nervously, if she'd figured out he ate her crystal eater and was here to settle the score. But Vera called it a coincidence, explaining she was here helping her brother pick out a ship, and teased that Lu Sheng seemed to be doing the same. He admitted it, though awkwardly asked if she'd found her beloved Bobby yet. However, he felt much relieved when she sighed without suspicion, and the two quickly drifted into casual chatter. Meanwhile, in the VIP section we see a man named Milton, and behind him stand two guards, listening as a saleswoman enthusiastically presents a top-tier Level 11 spaceship. Stroking his chin, Milton pondered the 700 million price tag, then, with zero hesitation, decided to take it. The saleswoman lit up, thanking him profusely and promising delivery to his residence that very day, but Milton waved it off, clarifying that all he needed was the key, adding that the ship was a gift, and someone else would pick it up. The saleswoman blinked in surprise, silently remarking that only a Count of the Sith family could casually toss around a fortune like that. As soon as the saleswoman bowed and hurried off to handle the paperwork, Milton mused to himself, saying the person adored spaceships, so this brand new model should hit the mark. After all, the VIP rarely visited the Yamu sector, and Milton was determined to seize the chance to win their favor, not just for himself, but for the good of the entire Sith family. Then he asked one of the guards, "Where's Vera?" The guard leaned in, whispered a few words, and Milton's face twitched ever so slightly. He wanted to ask who the guy was, but in the end decided to check for himself. On the other side, our boy was busy trying to ease Vera's worries, suggesting maybe Bobby had just gone off to play and would be back in a few days. Vera still pouted, looking quite upset. Suddenly she perked up, remarking how Lu Sheng was a new citizen. She'd never seen him before, and just like that, she launched into one topic after another. The poor guy here had tried more than once to politely end the conversation, but Vera kept pulling him back in. He couldn't help thinking Vera reminded him of Fiona, saying they both were delicate, sheltered girls who'd never faced storms. But compared to Fiona, Vera's background was on a whole other level. At the same time, our boy is fully aware that the more precious the flower, the fiercer the gardener protecting it. And sure enough, he soon felt several sharp gazes lock onto him. A man's voice called Vera's name, and as she turned to see her brother, she excitedly grabbed Lu Sheng's hand, eager to introduce them. Milton smiled as he approached, all the while mentioning that he'd overheard talk upstairs about an unwanted golden crystal eater. Vera lit up, guessing it was probably Bobby, while Milton chuckled, teasing that maybe not. Vera, now all fired up, tugged at Milton, wanting him to take her there, though a guard quickly stepped in, offering to escort her instead. Before leaving, Vera cheerfully told Lu Sheng to wait and chat with her brother, promising she'd be right back. Milton watched her leave with a smile, and the second she was out of sight, his expression changed. He coldly remarked to Lu Sheng as if he were nothing more than a mudfoot from a low-grade resource planet. In his mind, Lu Sheng was a nobody clinging to his little bit of talent, leeching off that 11th level executor, and now daring to sniff around the Sith family. Lu Sheng sighed inwardly, thinking, here we go again. The classic and cliché plotline. Milton didn't hold back, calling Lu Sheng a low-born life form and warning him to disappear. If he so much as crossed paths with Vera again, accidentally or not only would he be erased, but so would the executor backing him as well as his entire home planet. With that, Milton turned and walked off. Our boy was confused about how things got here in the first place, and was about to say something, but the saleswoman swooped in, essentially wanting to kick him out. She remarked that Lu Sheng had upset their top client, and from now on, he was no longer welcome. And just like that, he was escorted out. He'd expected the gardener to be rough, maybe harsh, but whatever. That was just plain ridiculous and completely unreasonable. And to top it off, the guy even threw in threats. Lu Sheng chuckled to himself, realizing it had been a while since anyone dared threaten him. Still, he brushed it off, figuring they were just overprotective. After all, he was new here and had no plans to stir things up. Besides, he didn't want to drag in Far and even Earth into this mess. Laughing quietly, he amused himself by saying, "So what if they humiliated him? Since our boy carries the weight of saving an entire universe, surely he can handle a little insult. Let the world sneer if it wants." He strolled along, half consoling himself, but then he stopped, standing still for a long moment, all by himself. Then something inside him finally snapped. He muttered to himself, "Damn it, I really can't let this slide." With that, he spun on his heel and strode straight back toward the shop. Before diving back into the shop, Lu Sheng figured he needed a little disguise, and since the dude wanted a cliché plotline, he would bring him something even better. Meanwhile, back inside, Milton watched Vera pout, complaining no one had actually mentioned Bobby. Milton just smiled, admitting maybe he'd misheard. After all, eavesdropping wasn't exactly polite for a noble. Vera, still looking upset, switched topics to Lu Sheng, asking why he wasn't here. Calmly, Milton tells her that Lu Sheng had some urgent matters and left. But Vera wasn't buying it, puffing her cheeks and grumbling that she knew what he was doing, and it's always the same, no matter what he said. Milton, in the end, promised that next time they ran into her friend, he'd treat him to a meal. Vera, still annoyed, announced she was heading home. As she walked away, Milton quietly ordered a guard to escort her. Left alone, he wandered to the window watching the street outside. For all the high-tech civilization, for some reason, they still used cars. Anyway, a bit off topic, and meanwhile, in Milton's mind, Vera would understand one day, and everything they did was for her own good. He asked the guard when Lancer would arrive, and the guard answered around 3 in the afternoon tomorrow. Milton adjusted his glasses, deciding to greet Lancer alongside Vera. The guard hesitated, worrying their young lady might be in a bad mood, but Milton cut him off, saying, "Just tell her it's father's orders." After all, the daughter of a count couldn't be allowed to act so willfully forever. Milton quietly asserted to himself that Vera was too sheltered. If she ever met someone like Lancer, one of the most outstanding life forms, she wouldn't be so easily interested in random people. His fist clenched as irritation bubbled up, and remarks that no-name mudfoot from a low-tier plant, daring to cling to their family just because of some talent, and concluded that not everyone was as naive and easy to fool as Vera. The guard kept silent as Milton muttered, but then the building trembled. Confused, Milton glanced around, but before he could process it, a crushing force slammed into his gut. The guard shouted in alarm as Milton was hurled into a wall, coughing up blood, stunned at how close he'd come to death. A figure loomed before him, calling Milton's name, all the while looking very angry. He accused Milton of committing unspeakable acts against his beloved pet piggy, then cruelly ended its life, and then declared he had come for revenge. Milton, dazed, had no idea what he was talking about, but before he could react, a surge of terrifying energy came crashing toward him. His guard sprang forward, demanding if the attacker knew who Milton was, but the instant he touched the energy, his body exploded. Milton froze in shock, unable to believe his eyes that a peak 11th level was defeated so easily. The handsome dude is none other than our boy, disguised while radiating power, stepped forward, announcing that anyone in his way would die. Milton scrambled backward, pleading, but in an instant, a hand clamped around his throat. Lu Sheng coldly declared that Milton should have known this day would come the moment he did what he did. He emphasizes that Piggy has been with him for over 150 years, questioning how dare Milton do something so cruel. His expression looked heartbreakingly real, even a tear slipped down. Perhaps anyone watching would have believed every word. The crowd grew, and he silently spread out his psychic energy and began to hypnotize the crowd. Slowly, people began whispering, then accusing. Murmurs turned into sharp remarks, disgust spilling out. They condemned Milton, shocked that a noble heir could have such perversions. Some cursed him outright. Meanwhile, Milton, choking on his own breath, desperately tried to explain, but no sound came out. Inside he screamed, "When had he ever done such a thing?" Lu Sheng kept up the act, raising a fist wrapped in energy. He tells him it was over, that Milton Nicholas would atone for his sins through endless suffering and death. Milton, trembling, finally managed to gasp out that he had something to say. He shouted his name, Milton Sith, not Nicholas. His voice cracked as he roared it again and again, clutching at any hope. At last, the grip on his throat loosened. Lu Sheng looked startled. He tells Milton to speak louder and repeat his name, so Milton did exactly that. Then our boy asked for confirmation, and Milton quickly handed over his ID card. Scratching his head, awkwardly admitting he'd gotten the wrong guy, he even tossed out a casual promise to treat Milton to a meal later and make it up to him. Milton sagged in relief. The taste of near death still haunted him, but the relief was short-lived. Just as it seemed the chaos was settling, a voice from the crowd rang out, announcing they'd checked. This really was the Count's son, Milton Sith. Murmurs erupted. People shook their heads in disbelief, scoffing that the rumors about upper-class nasty stuff must be true after all. Milton frantically protested, insisting they had the wrong man, that he hadn't done anything. But someone from the crowd strode forward, slapped him across the face, and barked that he should quit lying. Hadn't he just shouted himself that he was Milton, saying everyone had heard it? Only then did Milton realize the crowd had caught only his panicked screams, not Lu Sheng's words, and all he could do now was let out a howl of pure frustration.